Oh, yeah.
How would you like a nice greasy pork sandwich served in a dirty ashtray? How's that making you feel?
Chet.
How's that making you feel? Because the late, great Bill Paxton getting you through your Saturday morning hangover. Making you want to run to the bathroom and vomit.
Oh, that was your bacon frying up. You know, you got the coffee going. Pop the aspirin.
We're here to get you through the disappointment and the rejection from last night at the bar. Your queasy stomach from a little too much beer, tequila, whatever your drink of choice was.
Or maybe for once it happened and you're making her breakfast.
And you're exposing her, and yourself, to Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition.
Your favorite politically incorrect pop culture commentary.
That's your Uncle Dave the Conquistador, Dave Height.
That's your Uncle Kev, the Maestro Kevin Crane.
We have got a wonderful slate of topics. Music, movies, streaming, TV shows, pop culture news, and of course,
a book
and dumbasses to regale you and maybe, possibly,
your overnight guest.
Boy, you're being really positive. This is the first time we've ever even thought about the fact
We've done it once before, but not to this degree.
Yeah, I did do it once before, and I remember it was really, really fun. And I think I got a daughter out of it. This is what we do for you kids every Saturday morning. We get you through. Hopefully, again, Mr. Optimist here.
Maybe a clock's right twice a day. A blind bird can find a worm.
Yeah, all right. So we're going to start off as always. What do we start off with, Dave?
Music. It's about the rock and roll, baby.
And we are coming back to this brand new segment that your Uncle Dave came up with. Brilliant idea, as we don't have a lot of new music to review.
Nope, so we're breaking out cassette classics once again.
Now, I have to admit, I didn't do my research on this.
We had to call an audible.
I initially wanted us to go back and listen to Y&T's highest charting album, In Rock We Trust. Little did I know that somehow, some way, there's a contractual issue with their old label, A&M Records.
Of course there's a contractual issue, because the record labels suck. And this, especially in that day and age.
And this, of course, is the record label where they put out all their greatest albums. So we had to do something, a little bit of a change on the fly here. So we are now going to review Y&T's Contagious, which was their first album that they did after they left A&M and signed on with Geffen Records. Now, there's a little bit of a difference here.
A little?
Little bit of a tone difference here, in that it seems like what they did with A&M was more Y&T-ish, I guess.
Yes.
Whereas when they came over to Geffen, things are more polished.
They're trying to make them into the generic hair metal band.
Here's what I did. I did a little fun project, Dave. After we had to do this, we had to make this last second change, and then I read all this background about the label change and what Geffen expected out of them, as you said, trying to make them into the most generic cookie cutter hair metal band ever, is that I took we're not going to count the last song, the instrumental, I'll Cry For You, but I took the other 9 songs, and I was able to find another band from the 80s.
With a similar...
Yes. And God help me, I did it, and I found 9 different bands for each song. So, as we go through here, and I'll see what you think. If I'm right, if I'm wrong. But I think I'm pretty accurate here.
There were hints of other bands throughout. This is not the Y&T that I was expecting.
No.
This showed why they kind of phased out after this album.
Yes.
Because it did not meet what they had done before. Geffen should be ashamed for what they did to this band.
Yeah. Yeah, they homogenized them. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just toned down what made Y&T great.
Yeah.
Now, there are plenty of... You can still find import versions of all their A&M albums, but there are greatest hits packages available for the A&M years.
Yes.
I have one of them. Then the band sounds like Y&T. They have their own distinct taste, style. This is them trying to be anybody but Y&T.
Yeah. So
now I will say there are a couple moments on the album that are still good.
Yeah, they do have a couple of gems on it. Well, couple that are good. I will not say gems.
I'll say one. I'll say one gem. Right off the bat.
Yeah, Contagious is the best song on the album.
Yes. Now, one of the good things about reviewing this album for Cassette Classics, as opposed to In Rock We Trust, is that we're trying to find these albums that we really don't know the songs from.
Right.
The lesser-known albums in the catalogs of these great bands. So at least I can say with Contagious, I didn't know any of these songs.
No, I didn't either.
I knew In Rock We Trust. I knew I knew at least Lipstick and Leather. But since we had to change on the fly, in that sense, this was all new to me.
Yeah, so I had not heard these.
So the title track is the first song, Contagious. This is Bon Jovi.
Yes.
This is Bon Jovi.
This is Bon Jovi.
But it's good Bon Jovi. It's probably out Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi. By the way, John, I still want my money back for Indy.
Abso-fucking-lutely. But this song is very catchy. This is the good of what you're going to get off this album. This is where, okay, maybe they've taken Y&T, and there's a little bit of Y&T in there, and they've polished it up and tried to...
They morphed it.
Right. But I loved Contagious. This is the one song on the album that I did love.
Yes. Yeah, I went back to this one a few times.
Now, it does have the generic, hey, hey.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But it does, the one part of it that I love is it has that little stop. And it's, rockin' after midnight. That I love. It just, that is 80s rock and roll right there.
Yes, that solidified it.
So now we move on to track 2. L.A. Rocks.
Still not bad.
No, I did enjoy this. This reminded me of 80s Kiss. I told you. I told you. I took this to heart.
Yes, that.
There's no heart, by the way, on this.
And I was thinking Kiss on this one myself.
Yes, this sounds like it could have been a Kiss song. Boys' Night Out. But I liked it. I was okay after the first 2 songs.
Yeah, the first two I'm like, all right, this we're getting somewhere.
But I had already acknowledged the fact that this ain't Y&T.
Right. Oh, we knew that after.
Right.
Yeah.
But then it hits rock bottom, song 3.
Temptation was so bad.
God help me.
That is the bottom of the barrel on this one.
Now, this one could have been either the Scorpions or Def Leppard doing a power ballad. Now, the twin guitars reminded me of the Scorpions, but maybe the rest of it was a little bit more like Hysteria era Def Leppard.
Yeah, but not good.
No. This was by far the worst, to me, the worst song on the album. Not even close.
Yeah,
not
completely agree. The Kid Goes Crazy was interesting.
Sammy Hagar era Van Halen.
Yep.
Absolutely. This is Sammy era Van Halen.
This you could picture Sammy singing.
Yes.
For sure.
Which, of course, means I did like it to an extent. I will say the rest of the album, I had the same feeling about all these songs.
They were
tolerable.
Right.
But again, it's not Y&T. It's just not.
No.
It sounds like Y&T doing a tribute to other great rock bands, not playing their own music. It's like an out-of-body experience. Where's my Y&T, goddammit? Where's Summertime Girls? Where's Black Tiger?
Yeah, come on. That's the shit that we want.
And we can't get it on streaming.
Bastards.
All right, Fight for Your Life, track 5, Dokken.
Yep.
Again, not bad.
Not bad.
Track 6, Armed and Dangerous, Quiet Riot. Track 7, which I thought, now track 7 was probably, next to the first 2 songs, my favorite, Rhythm or Not.
Yeah, I didn't quite get into it so much. I like the next one a little bit more.
Okay, Rhythm or Not I have down as Rat.
Yeah.
Now see, you and I are going to have a difference of opinion on
Bodily
Harm. I thought Bodily Harm was pretty generic. But, Night Ranger. A generic Night Ranger song. And then the final song with vocals, Eyes of a Stranger, Winger.
Yep, exactly.
See, I'm telling you, this was almost like a Y&T tribute album to all the bands they played with.
Yeah, Geffen not knowing who to mimic them off of.
Right.
So we'll just do everyone.
And something I read about this when I was doing my research, this is also, I believe, the first album where they brought in outside songwriters.
Oh, no.
So that's another reason why this sounds like
no.
every other band out there except for
you
Y&T.
had the generic songwriters.
So again, this is Geffen. This is Geffen taking control of the band.
And screwing them over.
Yes. And then we have a very inconsequential, silly instrumental.
What the hell was that for? It was pointless.
There's just, I'll Cry for You is, there's no point to it.
None
it's
whatsoever.
Generic, it's just generic. Now here's the thing. And I got my problems with Y&T for other issues. Their leader, Dave Meniketti, fuck him for never, ever touring the Midwest. They're still around. Y&T is still around. He will only tour California.
And New York?
Won't even do New York, I don't think. He does overseas. He'll go overseas.
California or overseas?
Yes.
What a fuckhead.
He's another one of these California assholes who doesn't acknowledge flyover country. You don't realize, dude, if you brought Y&T out here to the Midwest, everybody,
selling out.
Everybody would be all in on this.
But alas, you're an idiot.
No, because I get Y&T updates all the time. And every tour is West Coast, maybe an occasional Nevada show, and then overseas. Nothing even remotely close to the Midwest, the South, nothing.
Missing out big time.
All right, so as far as Contagious goes, you can tell we're not big fans of what Geffen did to Y&T at this stage in their career. And as Dave pointed out, this is where they kind of fell off the map. I am going to, God help me, give this the barest, slightest of recommendations. Like 2.55.
See, I couldn't even go the 2.5. I'm at a 2.
I will still listen to it again as kind of it's kind of like a time capsule. Again, you're taking one of the great bands, underrated bands of the 80s.
That I enjoyed.
Playing great 80s style music that's not necessarily theirs.
If it pops up, I'm not turning it off, but I don't think I can recommend this one.
It's definitely not their best work.
No.
Again, that would be the A&M albums from earlier in the 80s. Could you almost say maybe it was a tribute album? Does that lead me into my one little news item of the week?
Deet.
So you go, your Uncle Dave's not recommending. I am.
Barely.
Barely. I mean, barely. Barely. But news came out this week. You kids all know I love my Triumph. We have an all-star tribute album to Triumph coming out.
Wow.
Featuring Jack Blades, Slash, Dee Snider. The lead-off single is out. Rock and Roll Machine. Sung by Sebastian Bach.
Wow.
So, the one thing I have a problem with here, though, is that I see the track listing and then I see the cover art. And the cover art is pretty generic. And it lists everybody supposedly on the album. No Jack Blades. Even though he sings one of the songs.
He's not listed.
He's not listed on the cover.
Okay.
How do you skip Jack Blades? That's not right.
That's wrong on every level.
Yes. But I could see maybe possibly us discussing Sebastian Bach's Rock and Roll Machine in a couple weeks. The first single off this tribute album called, of course, Magic Power.
Nice.
So let's move on. TV and streaming. Now, if you kids don't know by now, your Uncle Dave is out next week. So it's just going to be me and me alone. I've got some fun stuff lined up for next week, but it's usually, as you kids know, stuff that your Uncle Dave wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. So
That's
I
right.
subject myself to this nastiness.
Yep, got a family issue to deal with next week.
It's all good. I would, if I thought it was something lame, I would definitely give him a hard time about it. But this is definitely important stuff. So you'll get my unique perspective on things that your Uncle Dave would not watch or listen to. Ever.
That's right.
I look at it as I'm protecting him. I'm keeping him away. Too bad there's not a Dave Matthews Band album this week.
God!
But TV and streaming, you know the shows we are watching right now. Now, I will hold off on reviewing the entire Season 3 of Reacher. I could technically do it next week, but I will wait. Because the final episode has already dropped as we're recording this.
Yep.
So, we'll wait a week, let your Uncle Dave watch it, and in 2 weeks we'll give you our full recap.
Yep, because as you're listening to this on this fine Saturday morning, April 29th.
April.
Why am I thinking April? March 29th.
Because you're thinking
I'm thinking of
your week off
coming
and
up.
the thing that you got to deal with. And
No, March 29th, as you're listening to this in the morning, I'm watching the final episode of Reacher.
yeah, see, I'll already have it knocked out. I'll watch it most likely Thursday.
Yeah,
The
I gotta
27th.
wait to do the family viewing on Saturday morning.
Or sorry, the 27th. Yeah, I will watch
27th
it.
night.
March 27th is when it dropped.
Yeah.
And this, of course, is the series. The series this year is based on Persuader, and I am having issues with it.
This is... There's problems with this season.
See, lately Dave has been giving me a hard time where I've been liking stuff more than him. This is one I think he's going to like more than me.
Oh, I've got my issues with it.
Reacher! Sorry. I gotta stop doing that.
We've talked about her.
I've been doing that for like 4 weeks straight. Reacha. Yeah.
Yeah, she's...
Yeah, but...
And then the Neagley storyline in it, where she's not even in the book.
Yeah, because they gotta force her in, because she's gonna have her own series coming up.
She doesn't even have her own book. She's one of the most minor
Why
characters.
don't you give him ideas, Dave? So now Lee Child or Andrew Child...
It'll probably be Andrew who does it.
Oh, God. I
mean, she is such a minor character. Ugh.
Episode 7, which of course was last week's episode. Again, I have issues with. Reacher gets a little too touchy-feely for me in this.
Reacher doesn't.
Now, at the end, he finally gets back into badass mode. But the first half... He got
a little weak.
Yes, the first half of episode 7, definitely. Between basically any relationship he has with a woman in episode 7, I'm like, okay, Alan Rickson could kick my ass. He's huge, but man, he's acting like his balls are shriveled up and crawling up inside of his chest cavity. I love you, Neely. Oh my God, I've seen how you work, and you're just so wonderful. Oh my God, when's Drew Barrymore gonna walk off from off stage and give everybody a hug? Or Kelly Clarkson's gonna come in and start talking about Wayfair. Jesus Christ, this is not the Reacher I want.
There's a little pill with a big story to tell.
So, again, not next week, but in 2 weeks, on the weekend edition, your Uncle Dave and I will review Season 3 of Reacher. Maybe, optimistically by then, do you think they would actually have a plan for Season 4 in terms of what book they're going to do?
Who knows?
Is it too much to ask to be on a nice, consistent schedule like Tulsa King?
Yes, it probably is.
Okay, Tracker. Of course, they're wrapping up Season 2. They are giving us more episodes than I initially heard.
Yep, I am one behind right now.
So I caught up. I was one behind last week, so I caught up. I watched the last 2.
So 2 weeks ago was The Spy.
Yes, where they brought the government in.
Yes.
And so now it looks like Coulter Shaw might have an enemy high up in the government.
Potentially.
For sticking his nose into business where it was not wanted.
But it was needed.
And then the latest episode continues this darker trend that they've been in with these... Of course, every episode is a missing or lost person. But Dave and I talked about this off mic. We kind of prefer them with this particular character, this show, a little bit more straight procedural maybe than where we're going here with the last couple episodes.
See, you can do this every so often, but you can't get stuck in a rut and do it week after week after week, because it gets kind of wearing.
Yeah, and we've praised this show for reminding us of the great crime shows of the 70s. Beretta, Mannix, all those great shows where every week, different story, different case to solve. You solve it and you move on.
Yep.
There weren't the continuing storylines
every
behind.
Once
in a while. And we've got another one of those, by the way.
Oh, another 2-parter?
No. They've established something going happens. On with Rainey. Here in the latest episode that's going to continue on now.
Oh, the new client?
Yes.
That was alluded to?
Yes. Yes, the new client for Rainey looks like he's going to cause some problems. So we'll see how much Coulter Shaw really wants to help Rainey. And hopefully, it won't involve her carrying her fucking purse like a priss.
We could wind up seeing the Shaw brothers coming to her aid.
Yeah, could. Oh, and I think I found out why the sister hasn't been back lately. Is because she happens to be starring in The Hunting Party on NBC.
Ah, well, there we go.
Yes. Yes. And while she is very, very pleasant to look at, she's another one of these actors or actresses, not trying to rip on just the ladies, who has one. We ripped on
One
Millie
range
Bobby
of
Brown
emotions.
last week for the Electric State. Remember the Electric State? And Millie Bobby Brown, in that, couldn't act her way out of a paper bag. This woman has the same problem. One facial, one look is all she's got.
See, that's kind of how I feel about the actress who stars in Grey's Anatomy.
The main one?
Yes.
Ellen Pompeo?
Yeah, she's got that one range. Which is why in the new movie with Mark Duplass, I'll be intrigued to see what she can do.
Our guy from The League?
Yes. They're doing the story of the couple that adopted the Ukrainian girl who they thought wasn't a child.
I think I saw the previews for that, yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least, like, the poster, or, yeah. Yep. And then, of course, I am watching The White Lotus. Your Uncle Dave is probably going to be catching up on that real soon.
Yes.
So he's going to have to start from the beginning. I am caught up through episode 6, the most recent episode this past Sunday. And of course, not to the point where you can really discuss it. Don't want to spoil things for Dave. Really, with The White Lotus, it's hard to discuss one episode. You got to discuss the entire season.
The entirety.
Yes. So again, The White Lotus, as you kids know who watch it, starts off every season with a dead body. Then we jump back to the beginning of the week when everybody shows up at that particular branch of the White Lotus resort. And then we get to see them all act like hedonistic scumbags. And then we try to figure out who's going to be the one that ends up dead. And what other damage, physical and emotional, is going to be done to everybody else. So, you get sucked in. You do get sucked in.
And that's all right.
And I think that's the appeal of the show, is that these people are all so scuzzy. You literally hate almost every single person on screen.
Wow. I'm intrigued.
But it's a slow burn. I will say this. It is a slow burn. Luckily, it's not. If it was like 22 episodes...
Oh, forget it.
Yeah. 8, 10 episodes, you can deal with it. As you just watch the missteps, the subtle missteps grow and become bigger and bigger issues. And
if a butterfly flaps its wings...
So, in a couple weeks, I will give a vague review of Season 3 of The White Lotus, depending on where maybe your Uncle Dave in 2 weeks, knowing what he's going through.
Who knows?
He's going to have a lot of time to watch some shows. So
yes.
We'll see how quickly he can burn through 24 episodes.
Yep. No, my wife is going to be having surgery, and we will be having a few weeks off. So...
Lots of movies and TV shows.
Up.
Yep. Now, I, of course, will be trying to still catch up on Season 2 of Heels. Trying to knock that out on Netflix, of course. Was previously on Stars, the wrestling show featuring Stephen Amell. And then I did finally cheat and decide to start Daredevil Born Again, even though I have not watched Season 3. I'm jumping ahead. Don't want to deal with spoilers. And I'll tell you right now, Daredevil Born Again, starts off with an absolute chaotic mess to begin. So it gets you sucked in right away.
That's good, because there were times where the show on Netflix could be a little draggy.
So I will have that for you starting now. I will start catching up on that. I know 6 episodes are now out on Disney Plus. And then in 2 weeks, when your Uncle Dave is back, we will review, as we catch up with Dark Winds, we will have season 2, our review of that for you, and then we will hopefully get caught up and stay week to week at the end for season 3.
Yes, that's the plan.
And of course, all great plans fall apart.
Quickly, as
Yes.
we know.
Even
But
though
we do have...
even though I love the quote from George Papard from the A-Team, I love it when a plan comes together.
Does it really, truly ever come together?
No, never,
No.
never, no. Especially
No.
with us.
So, but we do have Dark Wind Season 1 wrapped up, don't we?
We reviewed that last week.
Oh yeah, we did, didn't we? I thought you hadn't quite finished it yet last week.
No, we reviewed
Okay.
it last week.
My apologies.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Too much going on.
Nope, that's fine. Because I complained about
That's right, the witchy
Manuelito,
woman.
yeah, falling
The
asleep
witchy woman.
because of the witchy woman, which was the one big criticism I had. Otherwise,
Yes.
great characters, great book series, solid show. All right, so let's do some news. Some news before we get into our book review. Dave's got your weekly book review for you. CJ Box,
Yep.
the latest Joe Pickett, and then we've got Kraven the Hunter for you. But let's look at some things going on in the world of entertainment. I think we're smart people. I'm smart. Are you smart?
I would like to think so.
I think you're smart. So what is it with these companies? Streaming is great. Streaming is awesome. They're losing their shirts on streaming. Report comes out this week. Apple is losing $1 billion a year with Apple TV Plus. How is that smart business?
It's not. I don't know, it's a tax write-off for everything else.
Like Warner Brothers?
Yeah.
The whole Coyote and Acme and Batgirl?
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously
it makes
would
zero
love
sense.
to sit in a room.
Explain to me why this is a good idea.
Yeah. You're how many years in now? Understandably.
And you've got
Maybe
what,
you'll lose money the first year or two.
one solid show that people like?
Yeah, all I hear about is, oh, Severance is so great. I have no desire to watch that. Especially since Adam Scott single-handedly ruined Hot Tub Time Machine 2. I don't get it. And what, Ted Lasso? That's it. That's all.
There's only murderers in the building.
No, that's Hulu.
Oh, that Hulu?
Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, we know we're still on the fence about where Marvel's going. Again,
Are we really on the fence
we'll
with
talk
where they're
about
going?
Kraven, but that's the Sony
Yeah.
Kraven Spider-Man stuff. Looking at right now the Marvel Cinematic Universe that Disney is shepherding. We're getting ready for Avengers Doomsday next year. It's about ready to go in front of the cameras. We all know that I don't know how anybody really feels about this whole Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom. Seems a little silly. All I'm going to say is they better tell me that that's Tony Stark, an alternate universe Tony Stark. Because if it's not, then it's bullshit.
Then it doesn't
Then
work.
you should have gotten somebody else to play the role.
Yes.
That's the only way you're going to be able to explain this to me, is the multiverse shit, and this is Tony Stark from a different universe. But speaking
if that's
of
not
which,
the case, then Forget it.
But speaking of which, just announced, they're getting ready to have this, what Comic-Con is coming up, I guess. And of course, we all know Comic-Con is where the
big announcements.
So Marvel is announcing a big Avengers Doomsday get-together. And they have put out a teaser with Mr. Downey Jr. But he is giving off, like in this teaser, a roll call of the people who are going to be involved in Comic-Con. And we are going to have the original, a lot of the original actors and actresses from the first X-Men movies. So they are going to be in Avengers Doomsday. We're talking Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Rebecca Romijn as, not Jennifer Lawrence, Rebecca Romijn as Mystique, James Marsden as Cyclops. So we're going to get a lot more of this multiverse stuff, kids. Be prepared.
That only goes so far, though. That reeks of desperation.
It's got to be done right. It's got to be done right. And they pulled it off with Spider-Man. Let's see. I will give the Russo brothers a chance. I trust them.
Yes.
I don't trust anybody else.
Feige he's walking a tightrope.
Yeah. Do you remember Red Sonja?
Yes. Brigitte Nielsen.
Of course, from the Conan
universe.
Yes. Now, I believe we discussed this. It's been a while. There is a new version, a new movie that has been filmed, that has been sitting out there for a year, waiting for somebody to buy it and to distribute it. It has finally happened.
Who's playing Red Sonja?
Nobody you know. Looks good, though. She looks good.
Nice.
Actually looks better than Brigitte Nielsen as Red Sonja. Looks more along the lines of what I would expect given the comic books. And
yeah.
Brigitte Nielsen was always a little too masculine for me.
Yeah.
You know?
She was a little, yeah.
But the U.S. rights have been sold. We're looking possibly at theatrical distribution later on in 2025.
Intriguing.
Dave's going to love this one, kids. I can't wait to give him this one.
Why is my eye twitching already?
Netflix has decided to start development on an 8-episode origin series. Live action origin series of Scooby-Doo.
Why the fuck do we need that? No. Oh, no, no.
We're going to find out how Shaggy and Scooby and Fred and Daphne and Velma all got together. Live action. Keep that in mind.
God help us. No. No.
And of course, they're already acting like, ooh, it's going to be like Harry Potter with the casting call. Who's going to play Fred? Who's going to play Daphne? Who's going to play Shaggy? Now, I know you've given up on Yellowstone, but
yeah,
we've got another Yellowstone spinoff coming, it looks like. This will be on CBS. And this will focus on Casey Dutton, played by Luke Grimes. The one thing about this you might like, Dave, Casey Dutton has a background, which they're supposedly going to focus on in this show, as a Navy SEAL.
That's right. He is the youngest brother?
Yes.
who got away from the ranch.
Came back. He did come back.
Come back, but
Yeah.
he...
Yeah, he's always kept himself at arm's length from everything. But
intriguing.
It makes sense. It makes sense that they would go here. You know, they're going to have the daughter, Kelly Riley, and her Rileys, and, you know.
Yeah.
Now, that'll be on, I believe, Paramount
Riley
Plus.
and Hauser.
Yeah. That will be on Paramount Plus so she can be naked.
Well, yeah.
Whereas with CBS, of course,
you can't have her naked.
No. So we'll have Casey Dutton just shooting and killing people.
Oh, there you go.
I'm sure they threaten his family. Now, I don't want to spoil things, but the way Yellowstone ended, there is a separation between what Casey and his wife and son are going to do and what Kelly Riley and Rip are going to end up doing.
Yeah.
You know. So, I don't know if they'll ever cross over. I'm sure they'll figure out a way to do it, but...
Might be an episode in each where they do, but...
Let's just put it this way. Casey Dutton is more close to home, whereas the other two are going off on their own.
Yeah, well...
To
Casey's wife's family is all there.
Right.
So, that makes...
I'm trying to be vague.
I know who he's married to and relationships there, but...
Right. Bad news in terms of some movies that have been taken off the schedule, one of which you made me aware of. Saw 11 has been taken off the upcoming film schedule as there has been a dispute behind the scenes in terms of where they're going to take the series. By all accounts, they had a great script, but the powers that be at the movie studio
nixed it.
Yeah, kind of were whining and bitching and pissing and moaning, and the writers didn't like it, so...
Said, suck it. We're taking our script home.
So for now, there is no future for Saw. Saw 11 is officially been tabled. And that also applies...
Would that mean it's a table saw?
I didn't even know I'd done that. I set you up for that. And that also applies to the latest incarnation of Street Fighter. Street Fighter.
God, we don't need it. They screwed it up originally.
I'm done because they don't listen to us. I'm done saying come up with original stories because they never listen to us. So come up with original stories, though. For the love of Christ. Speaking of which, the Jason Bourne franchise. We mentioned this.
Oh,
couple
Lord.
franchises up for sale. Now, we talked recently about James Bond and how...
We've been promised they're going to keep it traditional.
Amazon and MGM have taken over from the Broccoli family. Well, now the Jason Bourne franchise is up for sale. It will be leaving Universal. So the highest bidder will be able to take that and do what they want with it. And also, Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, is also up for the highest bidder right now as well.
We don't need any more of those. We don't need remakes.
You know what we need more of, though, Dave?
Cowbell?
No, we need more of these cheesy, awful, terrible horror movies.
From A24.
Taking advantage of all of the beloved characters that are now in the public domain.
Yes, we do. Who's next?
I still need to find out when we're getting Popeye the Slayer Man.
That I am all in on Popeye.
But of course, this past weekend, now we're technically, as you're listening to this, into weekend 2 of Disney's awful failed Snow White. Maybe you should tell your leading lady to shut the fuck up and stay off social media.
Yeah, that would be a good starting point.
But of course, there was other controversy with that movie. Remember, they had these awful pictures a couple years ago.
Of the 7 dwarfs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they decided, no, we better stick with the... And then they did the CGI
Yeah.
to make them look more like the traditional dwarves. And Peter Dinklage was throwing a hissy fit. Another guy, just...
Drop kick.
I'd love to. God, I would love to. We talked about elder abuse. What, in the sports edition?
Yeah, this would...
Yeah. Yeah, only Johnny Knoxville could get away with this. This would be something Jackass could somehow get,
Didn't they do
past
that?
the censors. And,
there was...
Well, Wee Man had to have.
Well, yeah, but no, there was a series called Midget Bowling for a while. It ran for about a month.
I'm telling you. Just lighten up, people. If you get a consent form signed, have at it. But we have got arguably a better version of Snow White coming.
Oh, Lord.
And there's a trailer out right now
Oh, my.
for the R-rated The Death of Snow White.
Nice.
Supposedly going to be released limited release in theaters coming in April.
This one may do better.
I didn't think the trailer was half bad.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Yep. So, I know there are a lot of people out there who think you people are sick. You're just so sick. Taking these beloved institutions like Winnie the Pooh and Popeye and Snow White.
You're a hypocrite because you know you've had these dark thoughts too.
This is the closest we're going to get to original stories.
Yeah.
You take an old character and put them in a completely different, bizarre, fucked up story that doesn't match what we originally knew them in. This is the best you're going to get.
Yep. Alice in Wonderland on a homicidal rampage in Wonderland.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. See, again, I don't know when those stories are going to become public domain. You know?
Yeah.
The Little Mermaid versus Jaws. Or a shark. You know, couldn't be Jaws.
Because that's still too...
Yeah, way too recent. I'm still waiting for them to announce.
The Little Mermaid does the 7 Seas.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the 7 Dwarfs.
No.
Wow. That's like...
That would have...
That's
I
getting
think
dark,
they've
Dave.
probably done that already.
Anyway.
And the off lots in Hollywood, I'm sure that one's already been done.
Yeah, up in the hills, up around the Hollywood sign where
yeah.
they do all that shit.
Yeah.
But I know nothing about the porno industry at all. I don't know how that works. We do have trailers. News about trailers. One in particular. The final trailer for Final Destination Bloodlines is out.
Ooh.
It looks pretty good, kids. It looks pretty good. As we find out from an old woman who happened to have cheated death and saved a bunch of people's lives.
And now her family is at risk as death seeks revenge.
Yeah, and the trailer shows literally the cookout from hell.
God. Ah.
but it looks like a Final Destination movie. It looks like
Yes.
it is going to live up
To
the past classics. Yep. And there is a book involved that shows the airplane, sketches of the
It's got
airplane,
everything.
sketches of the truck hauling the logs that gives everybody nightmares.
Yes. Oh, this
Mrs. C, I know, says she'll never get behind any
Nope.
type of truck like that ever again after seeing
Yeah.
That was the second one, right? Because the third one was a roller coaster.
right.
So the second one, I think,
might
was
have
the
been, yeah.
log hauling truck. But yeah, cannot wait. Final Destination Bloodlines, I believe, out in May.
Yep.
And then on another level of sickness, if you want to watch it, I haven't, but I am doing this as a public service. The trailer for Rust is out.
I think that's going to be a hard pass.
Yeah. I mean, who really wants to watch this movie after what happened?
I mean, this is...
But people went to go see The Crow. It was a hit, knowing that Brandon Lee had died. Now, that was an accident.
That was an accident.
Well, supposedly this was too.
Yeah, but with everything involved with this one, it never should have been completed.
So, I'll be interested to see if anybody goes to see this. You know?
Yeah.
This has that skeezy feel about it. But again, Hollywood has done this before.
They do.
I
They do it
actually
all the
read
time.
something the other night about, remember the Twilight Zone movie? Remember Vic Morrow,
Oh.
along with two young children, died
Yeah.
when a helicopter crashed on the set.
Yeah.
They still put the movie out. So, Hollywood will never let a good or bad opportunity involving PR pass by.
This is true. All right, coming back, kids. Book review time. As your Uncle Kev mentioned, CJ Box's latest Joe Pickett novel, Battle Mountain. Of course, once again, Wyoming Governor Rulon is back in office after the debacle of the previous governor. So Rulon calls Joe his Rough Rider, sends him on various missions on his behalf around the state. This one, Rulon asks Joe to go find his missing son-in-law, who he kind of bullied and badgered into getting outdoors because he's kind of a city boy. And so the son-in-law hooks up with a outfitter, hunter, to learn how to hunt and live off the land for a little bit. Well, shit hits the fan when they stumble upon Joe's nemesis, Axel Soledad, from previous encounters. Soledad was responsible for the previous book, the death of his buddy Nate Romanowski's wife, and Nate's buddy Geronimo Jones. His home was burned to the ground because Axel has a beef with the two of them and with Joe because Joe is involved in an attempt on Axel's life, trying to end him for what he's been doing to Nate and Geronimo. So Axel's one of those whack job anti-government types who's got his own little crew trying to take out the higher ups within the government, especially the military, at a dude ranch get-together. So, unbeknownst to each other, Nate's involved looking for the son-in-law of the governor, while Nate and Geronimo are tracking Axel on a collision course at Battle Mountain. So, a nice little tale, two stories melding to the converging point for the final confrontation. I enjoyed it. It's sometimes, these are always good reads, sometimes they can get a little slow. This one kept up the pacing very well throughout. So this is a really rock solid 3. So I recommend this series.
Yeah, another book series that I've always meant to read that I've never gotten around to. And I wish that the TV series, the streaming series, would have suffered a better fate, because I think it got caught between two worlds, where it started off on Spectrum as a Spectrum original, and then got pulled into Paramount Plus, and they really didn't know what to do with it. I think if this had ended up on CBS, like it probably should have, like Tracker, this would have been wildly successful. The TV, I mean, I've seen most of season 2. I've seen all of season 1. Very, very well done. Now, you've read the books. You would probably be a better judge than me. But just from a pure entertainment standpoint, I liked it. They did do the checkbox stuff on a couple different things. But I like the guy they got playing Joe. And again, it's just a shame that it didn't get a better fate based on where it originated and where it should have been.
Yeah.
When Paramount Plus grabbed it and pulled it over from Spectrum. So, again, like the Longmire books, I should be reading them, but I don't read 98 books a year like you.
I don't read 98. If I'm lucky, 50 to 60.
Still, my God.
And last year was a low, and I don't even, maybe I hit 30 last year. So, well below my average.
Yep, now, I believe we mentioned this. I don't know if we did or not. Can't remember if we mentioned this on the sports edition. But in 2 weeks, book review, Jonathan Kellerman's new Alex Delaware.
Open season.
Yep, we'll have that for you in 2 weeks. And then we've got a new Prey book from John Sanford coming up. A new team up with Virgil Flowers and Lucas Davenport.
Always a good time.
Yep. And then we've got, in 2 weeks, Den of Thieves 2 coming as our featured movie review.
Yep.
We're going to have the new LA Guns album. This is all 2 weeks out,
2
kids.
weeks. 2 weeks.
This is because Dave has got his thing. Next week is me. I've got a review of Anora. Yes, Anora, the best picture of the year at your
He's
Academy
a
Awards.
sucker for these things. He doesn't know when to quit.
I'll have some song reviews for you of stuff that I probably shouldn't or wouldn't subject Dave to. I will keep you up on the White Lotus and all those shows that we've been watching together. Maybe I will jump in and give you more detailed reviews of Heels and Daredevil, stuff that Dave isn't watching right now. So that's usually how we do things.
It works.
Yeah, I don't get a day off. I don't get a show off.
You could take a show off.
No, because we can't do that. Then the kids will forget about us and they'll never come back. And yes, again, we mentioned this on the sports edition this week. We are trying to get ourselves onto YouTube. We're trying to find a way, the easiest possible path, without having to, of course, cut off an arm, a limb, a thumb, give up a firstborn child, that
take
type
a dump
of thing.
in a bucket.
Yeah. So, we're working on getting over to YouTube because, yes, we know that's where everybody listens to their podcasts.
Along with us on Spotify, Good Pods, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, Amazon, Audible, and a Heart Sports Frenzy, baby.
Otherwise known, of course, as iHeartRadio. Don't forget to check out the Facebook page. Lots of sports stuff going on, but you can always find links to every Weekend Edition episode on the Facebook page as well. Just got to do a little bit of scrolling. Like if you want to go back a couple years, Might take a while for the page to load to get that far back. But it's there. It's there. Trust me. And that leads us into our feature movie review of the week. This is a movie that Dave and I had been looking forward to for a long, long time. It had been delayed multiple times.
Yeah, way too many.
Now, we know the history lately with the Sony Spider-Man universe Marvel movies. Hasn't been great. Now, I seem to like Morbius more than most people. Still didn't love it, but thought it was worth watching. But then you've got the debacle, by all accounts, that is Madam Web. You know, people are saying one of the worst movies, one of the worst superhero movies ever created.
That's saying something, because there have been some bombs.
A lot more lately.
Yes.
Is the sad thing over the last 3 or 4 years. Basically ever since Disney took over Marvel. Ever since the pandemic.
Yeah, it's been a shit show.
Yeah. DC hasn't been much better.
But DC's movies have never been that great.
Right. Right. Yeah. Kind of hard to expect a lot when you didn't give us a lot to begin with. Marvel, of course, had an unbelievable run. Kind of would have thought they'd still do a little bit better with everything after Avengers Endgame, but...
But the rat got involved.
Yep. So, is there hope? Will there ever be a resurgence in the Marvel universe?
Who knows?
But now back to Kraven the Hunter. I will say this. I have a tendency to look at movies differently. Now, when the critics love a movie, I usually hate it.
Yes.
Because they will sit there and they will find something bizarre and unusual and, to us, boring and stupid, and they'll say it's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, they're idiots.
And then on the flip side, we will find stuff that's fun and entertaining from things that the critics think are absolute crap. I think this is an instance where everybody's ripped Kraven the Hunter to shreds. It did not do well at all at the box office. And this is one of the great villains in Spider-Man lore. And I think it's a pretty good movie.
I enjoyed it. I don't know what the problem people had with it was. You had the origin that you needed. The background. How he became the Hunter. What he was doing and why. Villain or anti-hero. Take your pick. But the lead-in with the Doctor and the Chameleon, the Rhino was, I thought, well done. I had no issues with this one. I thought it was good.
I was very entertained.
There were a couple of little things here and there.
There was some criticism that I think was... Now, I did some research. Here's the thing. This is in my wheelhouse. Kraven is in my wheelhouse in terms of when I was a comic book geek. I fully admit I have not been into comic books in 20 years, at least. But back when I was growing up, Kraven was in my wheelhouse when I was reading Spider-Man comics. But I still went back and I did my research because I wanted to see how much of what was in this movie was actually canon, as the kids would say.
Yes.
Part of the lore, and how much of it was probably shoved in there unnecessarily. And I was surprised to find out that most of it is actually very accurate. The chameleon is, in the comics, I did not know this, is actually the half-brother of Kraven. He did have a relationship. Now, I guess it was a little more romantic in the comic books with Calypso. But I did read online that a lot of people had a problem with Ariana DeBose, her portrayal of Calypso. I did, but not as much as other people.
It wasn't that egregious.
No, it wasn't.
It didn't
I don't like. There's other things about her I don't like. She's an Academy Award-winning actress, and she's another one of these people where her social background, let's say, tends to trump her talent.
Yeah.
In that she gets roles and she gets far more praise than she should be because of who she is. Let's say that. But I didn't think she was bad.
She was fine.
Yeah, I didn't think she was bad. Russell Crowe maybe a little bit hammy.
A lot of hammy, but that's
looked like he ate a lot of hammy.
But that's a Russian oligarch. Mm-hmm. That's so.
Aaron Taylor Johnson was great.
He was
as
phenomenal.
Kraven. And I thought they did a really good job of portraying the character. Great action sequences.
Yes.
I agree with you. The Rhino. Did read something I agree with completely. Somebody said, very, very tough character now. We've seen this tried a couple times. Very tough character to portray in a live action movie.
Yeah.
But this was probably about the best you're going to get. Much better than what we saw in the Spider-Man movie with Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, that was
the
cringy.
robotic, almost robotic.
Yeah,
suit.
that was cringy.
Yeah. So, I agree with what I read. This one person who said the Rhino is extremely difficult to pull off.
Yeah.
I'll give it a solid 3.
Yeah, a solid 3. It was an enjoyable flick. I recommend it. It's better than what Disney Marvel has put out of late.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would have liked that we get a little bit of a taste of the Spider-Man universe. We see at one point early on a character reading the Daily Bugle, and then Kraven's worst fears.
Yes,
spiders. Happen to be spiders. Didn't get the post-credit scene I was hoping for.
I was waiting.
I was waiting for a little bit of a Spider-Man tie-in. And then, of course, once again, doing my research, I'd forgotten that at the end of one of the Spider-Man movies, where we saw the trophy room.
Yes.
And one of the items in that, I think, was Kraven's spear. I think is what it was.
Yeah.
So there have been allusions to bringing Kraven in to the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah. I had Homecoming in the trailer scenes. I had expected to see something of Kraven when Spider-Man is now public enemy number 1.
Yes. Yes, that would have been a perfect way to bring him in.
But
almost turn him into a bounty hunter, if you want to. And he always looked at Spider-Man as his greatest prey.
Yes.
That if he were to actually take down Spider-Man, that would affirm that he is the world's greatest hunter. There's
a collision. There should be a collision course, but who knows?
Well, and we've talked about this in the past. Batman and Spider-Man, by far, not even close, have the greatest assortment of villains
of
any
down.
superheroes. And they have never really fleshed them all out the way they should. And this was their chance to do it with Kraven. And again, I thought they did a good job. He gets at the end, he gets his traditional lion's mane jacket that he is known for in the comic books.
Yeah,
I thought it was good.
Was good.
I thought it was really good.
I highly recommend it.
I again will give it a solid 3 frenzies.
Yes. I will watch it again.
Yeah, I don't... This is, again, the disconnect I'm talking about that I was mentioning a few minutes ago. I don't understand what people watch sometimes and what they're seeing. Our buddy Aaron, on our sports show, one of our 8 panelists, we saw him the other night.
Yeah.
And he immediately, when I mentioned Kraven, said, oh, good luck getting through it.
There was no problem with it.
He had a problem with the origin story. I'm like, this isn't like Spider-Man or Batman, where we've seen the origin story over and over.
You needed to have the origin for Kraven.
Right. We've never seen this before. You've got to show us the origin story. Now, an intriguing topic I saw online was, did Calypso give him his powers? Or was it the blood from the lion that gave him his powers? Or a combination?
She didn't. It's that serum that her, was it grandmother?
Yeah.
Had said, this will save someone's life, but it will change them based on the circumstances. And so with that and the circumstances, that's what... And so it was a combination of the lion's blood and the serum.
I was going to say, because I knew that, but then the lion was built up to be not just a normal lion. You know, it was a myth. It was a legend.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it was the combination of the two.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people are saying, no, lion had nothing to do with it.
No, it did.
No, they made a big deal of showing the blood dropping into his wound. Yeah.
And so, based on the circumstance, the serum took that piece to create the connection with the wild.
Yeah. Now, I think that the other villain they just made up. The Foreigner.
Oh, yeah. The Foreigner had to have been. I don't recall anything of that in the past.
No, I didn't do a lot of research on his character, and I didn't see a lot of people mentioning him. So I've got to believe he was just a new character made up just for this.
Kind of intriguing.
Yeah. And you mentioned the chameleon. At the end, when they show the classic chameleon look, I was like, yep, I remember him.
There we go.
Yep. And it's a shame that Sony has botched these movies the way they have. The problem is, again, you didn't focus on the right characters. Nobody wanted to see a movie about Madam Web. Nobody wanted to.
That was dumb. This should have been done sooner. This should have been done really before Homecoming.
And this one's been delayed for so long.
Yeah, it just took way too long to get out. So, again, they have no concept of what they have and how to do it right.
Yep. But again, do not listen to the critics. Listen to us. Kraven the Hunter is not bad. It is very good. Check this out. Dare I say, outside of Deadpool and Wolverine, probably the best superhero movie of the last 3 years.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yep. So, with that, we move on to moments of silence. We have one, a very significant one.
Yes.
And we were mentioning earlier about Yellowstone.
Yep. Cole Hauser's father, Wings Hauser, character actor extraordinaire from Vice Squad has passed away. He was good in everything he did.
Yep. Yeah, Wings Hauser was one of those guys that he would show up in B movies or bit parts in TV shows.
Every single TV show that was out there.
Yeah. But he was cool.
But he was good.
Then you saw his name in the credits, you knew.
It's like, oh yeah.
Yep. So, thoughts and prayers go out to the Hauser family.
And their friends.
Yep. Yep, the great Wings Hauser. So, unfortunately now, that means we have to...
It's time to pivot to find out who gets the golden boot up the ass as this week's Red Foreman Dumbass of the Week.
All right, so I have got a little bit of some interesting dumbasses this week. I've got a double dumbass, and then I've got a double Hollywood casting dumbass for you. But let's get the other two out of the way first.
All right.
I guess I've got Clint Eastwood badasses too. Okay? But I have
Do they
a
all morph
dumbass
together?
I have a dumbass who ties into a badass. It's very complicated here. So bear with me.
All right.
When we get to that, we'll get to that. But first up, this is a sign of how much our society has collapsed. We are morally bankrupt, people. Remember the Huck to a girl? Just spit on that thing?
Yeah.
Thought we'd heard the last of her, didn't you?
We had hoped.
Amazing to me how somebody has made money off of this. A viral moment. Nobody should be making money off a viral moment.
No.
Yet somehow the Huck to a girl has been making money for a simple comment caught on video. And now, believe it or not, the Huck to a girl, Haley Welch, is going to be the subject of a feature-length documentary.
Why? That's so fucking stupid. Guess what I'm not watching?
Honestly, and this is going to sound terrible, and that's fine, because we're politically incorrect here. This girl should have been in porn a long time ago. That should have been the one true career path that she ended up in, is porn. And yet somehow now they're making
Just
documentaries about her.
Oh my god, this is so fucking stupid.
Yeah, the worst part of it, she's got no talent other than maybe spitting on private parts for lubrication. This is what's wrong with this world. People with no talent are making millions and millions of dollars.
Jake Paul.
Where people who actually try are making nothing and working their asses off
For nothing.
For nothing every day, every week,
and
every
you have
month.
some stupid twit like this.
And this is why people go out and buy, those lighting rings and go on TikTok. I'm going to make a TikTok video
because
of
I
me
could
dancing.
be the next thing.
Yeah.
No, just stop.
This is a dangerous, dangerous path our society is going down. And if we're going to make the Hawk to a girl,
oh my god, this is pathetic.
A celebrity, a subject of a documentary.
We're done.
Yeah, we're done.
We had a good run.
Okay, now here is where I'm going to tie this dumbass into a badass. Okay? And you're not going to believe it. Because it's somebody we normally hate completely. But now he will be a dumbass, for one thing.
All right.
Neil Young.
Ugh.
Neil Young pulled this bullshit move that all these superstars do. all these celebrities do. Oh, I'm gonna announce I'm gonna do this big, important, awesome thing, and then they cancel it a week later. You know. Oh, I look at me, I'm tough. Neil Young announced that he was going to do a free concert in Ukraine. You know, show solidarity with the Ukrainian people. We're with you. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to perform, and we're going to show you people that we're with you, despite the fact that I hate our president and all that bullshit. Oh, and then a couple weeks later he decides, it's not really safe over there. We're not going to do the concert.
Asshat.
I have to protect my crew and my people, and I don't think right now I can, in good conscience, take them over there, and because I'd have to worry for their safety.
Well, how about you just take yourself over there and do an acoustic set?
Did you not realize there was a war going on over there in the first place?
He's old and senile.
Shaky. God, I don't know. I don't know who's worse, him or his dip fuck wife, Daryl Hannah.
Oh, God.
But I am also giving him a Clint Eastwood Badass of the Week award. Yes, Neil Young. Because he basically told Ticketmaster and Live Nation to fuck themselves. You will not use dynamic ticket pricing for my upcoming 2025 tour.
Well, good for him on that.
So at least in that respect, he's better than, Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
And I know we're doing dumbasses, and I just transitioned over to badasses. But
now we transition back.
No, I got one more badass I want to get in now. This one's going to be a little bit... This is a personal thing for me. Now, there's a show on Netflix right now, I think it's a British show, that's a big hit, called Adolescence.
Okay.
Supposedly the show's got something to do with the young boy who does something very scary, very serious, and I guess the show is an exploration of social media and how it influences young men.
Okay.
The creator of this show, and again, I think it's based in the UK, has started something called the Smartphone Free Childhood Group. And he's got something called the Parent Pact, which over in the UK, I believe, just in the UK, he's got over 100,000 signatures, including, I think, Benedict Cumberbatch, the actor, has signed this. No smartphones for kids until they turn 16.
Good. That needs to be done.
As I am tired of these idiot parents caving to these kids. How many, you and I watch On Patrol Live. How many stories do we see?
Oh, God, get my phone.
No, well, the missing segment.
Oh, yeah.
Where we hear about
where they're on social media and they get coerced into coming out and meeting somebody they shouldn't be meeting,
and now
then they're disappeared.
They've been gone for 4 months.
Or longer.
Yeah.
Trafficked.
Smartphones should not be in the hands of kids.
No.
Should not be. I don't like it. I'm almost 60. I hate having a smartphone. This was initially supposed to be something that we had for emergencies. If my car breaks down, I've got a cell phone, I can call for help. It's not supposed to be your be-all, end-all, center of the world, entertainment, social media device that you can't live without.
Guess what? I can live without it.
I can too. I can too.
Now, just as a phone, fine. Call me, text me, that's fine. I don't need to have it to look stuff up. Is it convenient? Yes, but I don't have to have it.
So, the makers of this show, Adolescents, and their smartphone-free childhood group and their parent pact. I'm all with you. You are badasses
You
for having.
go.
You have the guts in this day and age to fly against convention and tell people, keep this shit out of the hands of your kids. When most parents are like, oh, I want my kids to love me, so I've got to give them a phone so they won't hate me. That's your problem.
Kids need to be told no.
You need to be a parent first, a friend second. Back to dumbasses. Okay, so now my double Hollywood casting dumbass segment. You and I were growing up. Who was arguably the toughest non-athlete in the world?
Oh.
Daredevil extraordinaire.
Evel Knievel was a badass.
Evel Knievel was the man. Snake River Canyon.
I had this Evel Knievel stunt bike.
Oh, that was arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, toys ever.
With
Wind it up.
Let him go and jump the ramp.
And they were smart enough to make the figure on the motorcycle all bendy plastic, so...
Yep.
Didn't ever break.
No.
They're making an Evel Knievel movie. Who would you like to play Evel Knievel? I guess I should ask, who would you not want to play Evel Knievel?
Oh, God. It's not going to be Tom Cruise, is it?
I think he'd be better.
Oh, God.
Initial word is Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio was not Evel Knievel.
Is going to play
Oh
Evel
my
Knievel.
God, that's no.
In an upcoming biopic. Yeah, no, not good.
Not good.
Not good. Now we've been talking in the other stupid.
Did you ever see his movie?
Oh, I remember it. I don't know. Either I can't remember watching it or I didn't watch it. But I remember it. Now, we're in the other stupid-ass casting news. We were talking about the Marvel stuff and the comic book stuff, right? So you figure at some point Disney is going to want to reboot the X-Men, right?
Yeah, the greedy, yeah.
But you would hope maybe they would try to cast legitimate actors and actresses. You think the roles would be somewhat in demand? You know, even though with the Fantastic Four, you've got Pedro Pascal, who won't shave his fucking mustache. And by the way, now I hear he's banging Jennifer Aniston. What the hell's going on with my girl, man?
Well, I would have rather have it be Obama or Pascal.
Yeah, I know. This is why I'm having sex dreams about Gwyneth Paltrow. I moved on. Some part of my animal brain is moving on from Jennifer Aniston. But Storm. Halle Berry did a very good job playing Storm in the original X-Men movies. The rapper SZA.
Okay.
Of course, that is spelled S-Z-A. Has now openly started campaigning that she wants to play Storm when they reboot the X-Men. Great. Just
No
fucking
idea
great.
who she is.
She was in recently the movie with oh God, one of these days.
Nope.
It made almost $50 million at the box office. It took a nice little tidy haul in.
Yeah, one of these days maybe I'll look into it.
Yeah, I'm surprised she's not conceding the role to Megan Thee Stallion.
No.
All right, and then finally, my double dumbass would be Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
Guy's an idiot.
First up, went on a podcast, of course, with the greatest Democrat ever, Gavin Newsom, governor of California. And this idiot Tim Walz basically said, and this is a direct quote, I, quote, could kick most of their asses. They're being Trump supporters. So yes, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz says he wants to basically, or he could, kick the ass of most Trump supporters. Well, that didn't sit well. Again, we're going to do another On Patrol Live reference. On Patrol Live follows the police force in Knox County, Tennessee. Do you know who the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee is, Dave?
Who would that be?
That would be one Glenn Jacobs, who was known in his previous career as Kane, the WWE wrestler. And Glenn Jacobs didn't take kindly to Tim Walz's comments and has issued a challenge to him. Now he wants to do this for charity. He says, you put up 10,000, I'll put up 10,000 to start.
We'll wrestle for charity.
Yeah. We'll go toe-to-toe for charity. Let's do it. Since you think you can beat me up and I'm a Trump supporter, so let's have at it. And of course, we've heard nothing but crickets from the Waltz camp. But no, Tim Waltz wasn't done. Tim Waltz, of course, was one of the Democrats cheering and went public with statements mocking the fact that Tesla stock was dropping, the stock price. And of course, on the surface it makes sense because he's a radical liberal fucktard,
right,
who loves to see people's cars get destroyed because of some innocuous connection to the man who created the company. Here's the problem. He is the governor of Minnesota. Minnesota Employees Pension Fund, my last account, had 1.6 million shares of Tesla.
And so their pension fund is now tanking.
But he's loving it. He's cheering it.
He's an asshole. He is a doofus beyond being a doofus.
And he's one of those guys. He's always trying to prove he's a tough guy.
Or
remember
smart.
during the campaign when he was VP for Kamala. Yeah. He couldn't figure out the one end of a gun from the other, yet acted like he was an expert hunter. I mean, he's an idiot. This is what you get with politicians. They're all idiots.
Yep, they are.
Sorry, I'm going to find it very hard not to go with Tim Walz this week.
I have to go with Tim Walz this week as
Especially
well.
The Kane thing is just awesome.
That's hysterical. But God.
Yeah, you got two from Tim Walz. You've got Neil Young. You've got the Hawk Tuah Girl documentary.
God, that's a close second.
Leo DiCaprio is Evel Knievel. And SZA playing Storm. Potentially.
Potentially.
No, but And I don't go out of my way to try to find political bullshit to put on this show.
Now, if you want the ultimate dumbass move, you could go with the Department of Defense this last week.
Yeah, now that's
for
straight.
texting the battle plans against the Houthis.
Yeah, that's straight politics, but yeah, that was pretty stupid. And that goes to show that, just bringing that up, that we hate all politicians.
Yeah.
And their stupid
fucking idiots.
Dumbassery. Doesn't matter left, right. We are equal opportunity haters when it comes to that stuff.
Yes, we are.
But, with Tim Walsh, you were able to bring in the
easy.
WWE. So there's
There
a little
you
bit
go.
of a
There's
pop
a little
culture
entertainment
reference
there.
there. So there you go, kids. That will do it for the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0. Now, of course, your Uncle Dave will not be here next week, so
I'll talk to you in 2.
these last few seconds, get all your Uncle Dave love that you can.
It's all good, kids.
That's the Conquistador Dave Height.
That's the Maestro Kevin Crane.
Say goodnight for 2 weeks to the kids, Dave.
Good night for 2 weeks to the kids, Dave.